As I reached for the tablet next to me, I began to contemplate how I would relate this story from my own perspective so that someone else could easily understand. Looking down at the blank screen, there was a text bubble waiting for my response from Dr. Hyo. "Are you awake yet?" was the subject line. When I tapped my finger on the bubble, a new screen opened up with a message asking me if I had slept well and did I remember dreaming anything worth discussing. I was still somewhat unsure of what Dr. Hyo's expectations were, but I responded. Yes, I slept very well and I remember the dreams quite vividly. Instantaneously after I hit the send button, I could see that Dr. Hyo was already typing back his response. It must have been just as Dr. Jin had said, that he is anxious to learn whether or not if his theory was correct. "Please," he asked, "tell me everything you remember in great detail." I really shouldn't have been intimidated by his request. As an IS analyst with a photographic memory, this should be considered an easy task. Placing the tablet on my knees and repositioning myself in the bed, so as to be more comfortable while typing. I began relating all the events from the dream in the order that they occurred. Typing slowly at first as I gathered my thoughts, because of not really knowing where to begin. But as my fingers began clicking away on the screen of the tablet, my thoughts began to flow smoothly and effortlessly. The experience was different than any other report that I've ever filed before. Not only did I relate the dialogue and the surroundings in detail, but I also related the feelings that I experienced and the emotional state of not only myself but also of the others present there with me as well. The words continued to flow freely from inside me, and as I typed out each character I felt a release of emotion that I couldn't explain. As I was typing, a bubble popped up interrupting me. It was Dr. Hyo with a short question. Was the dream in color or was it in black and white? The question seemed strange, but I actually had to think about it for a minute before I could respond. "Yes," I replied, "it was in color." "Very good," he replied, "please continue." The words once again began to flow through my hands rapidly as I continued typing them out on the digital keyboard. Where was all this coming from? I really didn't know, but the more I typed the more relief I felt. It was becoming hard to hold it all in. Once again, a question popped up from Dr. Hyo. "In your dream, were all the events taking place from your perspective or were you observing them as an outsider?" I knew the answer to this one right away. I quickly responded with, "I saw everything from the first-person perspective. I was completely involved in the events taking place." "Drive," Hyo responded with the image of a thumbs up, and then another message immediately followed asking me to please continue. After finishing my account of the events in the dream, I related to him about the intense white light and how the dreams seemed so real that it was getting harder for me to determine what was real or imagined. Dr. Hyo responded, "I will come by to see you tomorrow. This is really fascinating and I would like to hear more about some of your other dreams." "I'm looking forward to it," was my response. "I will see you then." As I turned to place the tablet back on the table next to my bed, I was surprised. There in the spot where the tablet was sitting was a poached egg and a glass of juice. How did it get there, I wondered? Was I really so focused on the things I was writing about that I didn't even notice someone entering the room bringing me food? I hope my distraction from the things going on around me didn't appear rude. As I prepared to eat my breakfast, I could hear Dr. Jin and his staff coming down the hall. It would seem I have a busy day ahead of me.